Well, good morning, Anastassia.
Good morning.
Thank you for. We're really happy to have you here in Pittsburgh. Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe state your name, where you're from, and what you're up to right now.
Okay, so my name is Anastassia Alexandrova. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry in UCLA. I came from Russia originally. You might hear it from my accent. I got my undergraduate degree there. And then I came to America for graduate school initially, and then did my postdoc also. So I first came to Utah, then I went to Yale, and I started in UCLA in 2010.
Okay.
I'm leading a group there in theoretical chemistry materials design.
Yes. Well, please elaborate a little bit on that. Tell us what you do, what your group does.
Okay, so we are interested broadly in functional materials of all sorts. So part of my program is about the design of artificial enzymes. We also study quite a bit heterogeneous catalysis and novel interfaces. So, for example, semiconductors degraded with small clusters, also some functional alloys for hard materials. In all of these domains, we're very applied, we're driven by practical problems and questions, but also we develop some methods that allow us to model the systems in a realistic way. So for instance, in heterogeneous catalysis, it would be inclusion of appropriate temperatures and pressures. And in a way, even though quantum mechanics is really the working force of what we do, we really marry this field to statistical mechanics in many ways.
Great. We'll look forward to your talk then. Now, maybe let's start from the beginning. What or who was your inspiration? Did you always know you were going to be a chemist, a scientist, a theoretical chemist?
So it's a very difficult question, actually, and I think a lot of this was dictated really by the family. Not dictated. I was predisposed, I suppose, to think along those lines. Both of my parents are physicists.
Oh.
So in a way, I think the way people would think in the family was like this. And also grandparents, I had mathematicians and biologists, and my parents were physicists. But then, really, chemistry was due to my high school teacher. I think is the case for many people. But I really didn't think I would be a scientist until the very end of my undergraduate career in Russia, when we first got exposed to the field of quantum mechanics. And I realized, okay, this is actually an aid that is hard to earn. This is a discipline with which I cannot possibly get bored, so to speak, And that's when it was probably the turning point. Until then, I didn't know what I would do.
Yes. And ever since you figured that out, how was your ride? How was grad school? How was your experience maybe as a woman? Were there a lot of other women in the program?
Okay, so it's I'm a bit fortunate again because I come from Russia. Because there actually we don't have the same difficulties as women in America, I figure, face. So for instance, chemistry is actually a very feminine discipline, and majority of my professors were women. So, if you have this two ways of saying this is male discipline, and at the same time in another country it's a female discipline, it just tells you that neither is correct.
Well, that's great
right?
to hear.
Yeah, and so I came to America with the understanding that maybe it's a myth, something outdated, that there are these gender biases. I really didn't think it can be valid anymore in a country that advanced. Of course, I learned with the time that it's true, it exists, many people experienced many problems, but during my education at least, I was fortunate to be very shielded from it. And also during my graduate school, my advisor was Russian in Utah, and I never felt anything discriminatory on the basis that I'm a woman. I feel it more now, actually, and I get more sensitive to it now also, I suppose. Maybe it's not part of this question that you want to ask.
Yeah, but if you have an example, please.
But let's say it's more recent. So growing up, it sort of wasn't a problem. There was not much downputting. But now, for example, I would come to conferences, and there would be times when I feel that boys form a club,
Yeah.
They cite each other, they appraise each other. There's this circle of boys that constantly tell about each other's work and their presentations, and you can do really outstanding things and they'll ignore it.
Yeah.
And so now I finally believe that indeed that's an issue.
Wow.
And you know, thankfully I was shielded from this before, but it exists. Yeah.
And like you said, you grew up in a different environment. You had teachers that led you to think that you're as good as me and you can do that. Is it something maybe you do while you self-teach? How do you maybe try to get women to be empowered, and what kind of advice would you have for young women?
Mm-hmm. Okay, when I teach, I think in general I try to interact with everyone on a very equal footing. Sometimes I do need to make a conscious effort actually, and so for instance during my office hours, so if I teach a very large class, it's difficult to interact on a very personal basis, but when they come to my office hour, then we have more personal discussions, and then it's very striking how differently boys and girls interact. So boys would ask questions very confidently, and questions can be simple or they can be more advanced, but they always ask it with confidence. Whereas girls will begin any question with something like, maybe this is a stupid question to ask. And I have to tell them right on the spot, very explicitly, that don't do this, right in front of all these guys. And I say, look, your question is one of the smartest that has been asked in the past hour. Don't begin it like this, because what they get out of it is the impression that you're not that smart.
So do you think it's something that they grow up thinking already, that they should maybe be a little more shy or apologizing than for asking questions, right?
Yeah, this is somewhat difficult for me to say because I didn't grow up in this country. I don't really know. But I think intrinsically women tend to be more self-critical.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to throw them into self-critical mode. You know, if something goes wrong, they immediately look for the answer. What have I done? What can I change? What is it about me? What is it about my research? About my whatever. Whereas guys are much more likely, perhaps, to blame it on a system. We don't have a grant-funded. Oh, perhaps the program is not ready for the kind of research that I'm proposing here. You know, it's a very different, and neither one is necessarily wrong, because women's way is also very progressive in a way, because it makes you immediately search for a better approach, better answer, sort of. But at the same time, since we operate in the same environment, it puts women in a difficult position socially. I don't know how to mitigate that, to be honest.
So, but you would still have a few words of advice and encouragement maybe for young women?
Yeah, I think women should absolutely remember that, so, for example, in math, I know that there are many studies that show that until a certain grade, boys and girls are very similar in performance. So girls should remember, I was good at math, for example, because that doesn't go away. It's a talent that's just there. And whatever people might say that's down-putting is not really valid. So really, it's, in a way, it's a lesson of arrogance. You should learn a little bit to trust your own opinion in more than many things that come from the environment. People may say so many things. Not all of them are friendly. Not all of them are sincere. Some of them are meant to put you down. If you take all this input, it can be very, very hard. So in a way, learning to shield from it and trusting your own opinion is very important. Yeah.
And how do you feel about balancing your life at work and everything else? I mean, professors these days are so busy. There's the research, there's the teaching, and then there's everything that's outside the university. Yes. What could you tell about it to young women, or even not only, because it's just a question, right? In general, people are so busy. They spend long hours in the lab. How would you maybe reconcile
So
that?
maybe I can share a bit of what's happening with my other part of life.
Okay.
So I have an 8-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
I in fact interviewed pregnant. It was
Wow.
very obvious. I was
Yeah.
4th or 7th month of my pregnancy. I was interviewing, and so it was not a secret. And then I came as an assistant professor with an infant in arms. So I've been sort of through the most difficult period, perhaps, with a small baby. I must say that was a very, very good experience, because in a way it makes you sane. Because at 5 p.m. you're only a mom, and that's it.
That's great.
In a way, you don't think of tenure 24/7. So it gives you balance already by just having a child. It gives you other priorities, and when you come to work next day, you're refocused. You might even bring new ideas. You look at it fresh. So it's actually, I recommend it very much. And also, I know that many women postpone having children, and that's not good biologically, first of all. And I very much do not recommend doing that. I think everyone should have a family and should have kids, and it's just absolutely not a question. It should not be a question of choice. It was for a long time, but those days are past. Universities are more and more receptive of this. It's very important to have the right partner.
Yes.
Of course, if it's a very traditional family in which it's your problem that you have a baby, that's not going to work. You have to have a supporting person with you. But if that being given, it's the best thing. Balancing, okay. So, of course, maybe it slows you down, but not much. Because you also learn to be efficient eventually. So, no, I think it's a very good thing to have, and it's the right thing to have, and it makes us balanced people. It also, interestingly, helps with mentoring.
Oh,
Because it's an amazing effect. I didn't know it would happen, but when you learn to take care of your child, first of all, you develop maybe more compassion for people, and second, you learn to deal with difficult characters. Because you sometimes you say do it, and the kid just wouldn't, and you have to find a way to make him feel it's your idea and so on, and it's his idea. So some of the skills, funny enough, apply to your colleagues and your students. So no, my impression overall is very positive of my path.
That is so great to hear and very encouraging. I think for those who will hear your words. And well, you have a daughter then. Is she maybe asking already the scientific questions?
Of
Why is the
course.
sky blue? And
No, since the very beginning, since very early, yes, of course.
Yes. So
She already experiences some of the social disparities in how
Is that
boys and
so?
girls react. She would come from school and say, "These boys, they just say, I know, I mean it." And the girls, we wouldn't do it, but we know just as much. So she feels it, and she feels it right. I'm not sure still how to convey the message that a lot of this bombardment that hurts her self-esteem is going to happen, and what exactly this means and how to take it, that I'm not sure how to do.
well, I guess we need to just be hopeful for the future and just keep encouraging those young girls and young women.
Yeah.
Maybe do you have a scientific role model? Maybe another woman, maybe not. Doesn't have to be.
It's I do have role models for sure, but they're not women.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, I didn't. Many of these questions that we discussed today, besides maybe being a mom, apply not just to women, but also to maybe quieter, more compassionate men.
Yeah.
They face just the same issues. They are not being heard, and I think it's a broader issue than just women. Okay, so yeah, so my role models happen to be men. I don't know if I should name the people today, but for example, my postdoctoral advisor John Tolley at Yale is an absolutely exemplary human being, and I think any trainee of him would say this. A lesson of humanity, even more than a lesson of science, which is what I took.
Well, I guess it is actually great to hear that, women appreciate men being as role models, right? Like I said, it doesn't have to be like a club. It doesn't have to be women against men. And
I agree.
It actually gives hope to other people, to other young women while they're looking for.
And in fact, a lot of emphasis maybe is put in the wrong place, in my opinion, these days. We coach girls to behave like men, but this is, first of all, not natural.
Yes.
Second, it puts the pressure again on girls. Whereas, in fact, we have strengths in how we interact. We don't put each other down as much. I mean, it's less competitive.
Yeah.
Competition also drives progress, but this is not exactly how we like to operate. And we have, there's a strength in our way of doing things as well. So I think, in general, growing in the direction of compassion is what's going to help the community.
I really like your point of view. This interview has been really great. Would you like to conclude on something special, maybe something that I didn't bring up, but you feel like you would really want to share as a scientist, as a woman, as a mother, as all three together?
I would say do not be shy to be a woman.
Oh, that's great. That is a great line.
Really, with all our strengths, with our ways of reading people, connecting, caring, looking like a woman, being a mom, all these aspects are wonderful, and we should not be removing them in order to fit.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your words.
Welcome.